Gina, we figured something out.
We did?
Yes. So here's what's cool, like social media and the internet and all this good stuff, being part of clubs on Facebook and all that. It worked. We anybody's invited to be on these podcasts with us. We want the message to get out and just have fun conversations with people.
That's what we've been telling everybody.
That's what we've been telling everybody. And it worked. We put out a post that said, hey, open invitation. Anybody want to come on and have a fun chat on the Riveted with Chris and Gina, brand new Airstream podcast? Let us know. And we had some folks message us and say, hey, we think it'd be fun.
I'm a little concerned about it, though.
Why?
Well, because I feel like this is the only listener we have out there.
Yeah.
And now if they're on here, we're not going to have anybody listening.
Oh, yeah.
So what are we going to do?
If they're on the podcast, they're not listening to the podcast.
Right. Right. So now we've got to go find another listener.
We screwed up.
Do you think we could do that?
Hopefully. I think we'll be all right, because here's the thing. I mean, we're recording right now, but we're not listening. So they'll have time to listen after they record.
Right. Oh, that's a good thing. Yeah. So it'll still be the same listener.
We still got to get used to this stuff. I mean, we're learning.
This is hard work.
It is.
Trying to figure out how to get the listener to be the person
guest.
that that we have on as a guest.
Yeah.
And still have them come back and listen.
Yeah. We'll figure it out.
We've got to.
But anyway,
let's bring them on and let's see what's going on with them.
Yeah. There might be an echo, though.
An echo, because they're going to want to listen.
Because they're listening and they're talking at the same time. We'll just see. We'll see if that works. So
maybe we figured out half of the formulation and we'll have to figure out the rest later.
Yeah. So to sum up, yes, anybody that's listening to this podcast, besides the guests we have on right now that also listen to this podcast, just know that if you are a passionate Airstream owner and you want to come on and have a fun conversation like this, reach out to us. We'd love to have you as a guest and have another.
Well, yeah, because we love to hear these stories.
Yes. So it worked, Gina. That's to sum up. It worked.
Yay.
Cool.
That's exciting. Hold on tight.
Here comes the Riveted with Chris
and Gina.
So everybody, we have a fun couple on with us. They really enjoy their Airstream. They enjoy, the rallies, the travel, the lifestyle, the whole 9 yards. We've got a cool couple that we've not met in person yet, but we've had some fun conversations, and I can't wait to rally and camp with them as soon as we can see them down the road. Their names are Bruce and Amy Melville. They are just one of those kind of couples that dove right into the Airstream lifestyle, and we can't wait to hear all the cool things that they've enjoyed so far and having them on the podcast. So Bruce and Amy, welcome to the Riveted with Chris and Gina.
It's good to be here.
Thank you.
Now, make sure you go listen to this later.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to lose our listener.
Correct.
I definitely will.
Good. Well, we're excited to chat with you and hope you guys are. We hope you have fun and, just casual hangout conversation like we're sitting around a campfire, even though we're both sitting in our Airstreams in different places in the country.
Tell us, we're sitting in a 30-foot flying cloud. So what Airstream model do you have?
So we have a 2024. It's a Globetrotter, 30-foot rear bedroom with the twin beds.
Sweet.
And we love it.
Yes.
Now you have the light interior?
We have the light of our couch. We have the blue couch and the light. Yeah, like I think it's, I want to say it's elm, but it's the elm light, like a light cabinets and walls and
I like the
the white cabinets above. Yeah, really light, really airy, and very very nice.
When we saw that floor plan when it first came out, we loved it, and we really considered like switching or trading trailers whenever it came out, and we like the big wraparound couch. We like the change in the look they made in the cabinets and the decor. But Yeah, it was a little more than we wanted to bite off, and so we just modified ours to be similar in floor plan to the front of yours, and
Okay.
just changed the furniture out, and
It's all about Chris's comfort. Don't let him fool you. It's all about his comfort.
yeah,
If he can't lay across the couch.
yeah, yeah. So, 2024. So you just got it fairly recent.
We bought it. We bought it back in we had it about a year now.
Right. Last September.
We started full-time camping or RVing in May of 2023, but we left on a 3-month trip to Alaska, but it was not in an Airstream. So when we came back, we were like, yeah, if we're going to do this, let's get something really nice.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so when we got back from our initial trip to Alaska, we started looking around and we found this one, and we're not looking back.
We were thinking about a fifth wheel, something larger, because we were in about 24 feet, 23 feet, something like that. And they were kind of intimidating, actually. And then the whole thought process of having to get a new truck and everything else. And when we looked at the Airstream, as Bruce just said, there was no turning back.
I was going to ask, like, what did you go to Alaska in? Because that probably, like, partly why you wanted to switch was just because what you were in going to Alaska.
Yeah, so we had a really we loved our other camper. I'll be honest with you. It's a Lance. It was a Lance travel trailer. They're nice campers. It had one slide. In fact, we still own it. It's just in storage. But it had one slide, and the model is a 2285. So it was smaller. But frankly, when you go to Alaska, you learn a lot about each other. And I will say this: we've been married, 32 years, so we know each other pretty well. But when we, we sold our house to go full time, and we had a large house, and it was, the house we lived in, you could, if you decided to not see somebody that day, you could not see somebody that day.
Wow.
So when you go from 4,000 square feet to 250 square feet, you get to know each other even more. But it had a slide, and there's just some things that we felt like, if we're going to do this, let's get something, one, that's a little bit bigger, and two, I hesitated to knock on Lance because they do make a really good product.
Yeah,
but
do.
I would also say that as good of a product as it is, it's not to us, it's not an Airstream.
Yeah.
Airstream is just on a different level.
So I'm very interested in why someone who decides to go full time, their first trip, they just bite the bullet and go straight for Alaska.
Yeah.
So was there something drawing you there, or is it just a bucket list thing, or what made you do that first?
I will say this: we weren't necessarily rookies when it came to camping when we left to Alaska. We had bought our first camper in 2018, and we had camped quite a bit. So we felt confident, enough to, get on the road, and we were prepared. I spent over 20 years in the military, and so I was kind of ready for anything anyway.
That's cool. And like, I mean, a lot of people, I think most everybody kind of aspires to make a RV trip to Alaska if they're a passionate RVer, no matter what kind of rig you're in. And that's cool that you were prepared to do that. How long did you stay up there?
We actually, the trip to Alaska is a journey. It's not just go. You don't just drive to Alaska and a couple days you're there. It took us a couple of weeks to get there. And on purpose, we stopped in Iowa, and we had a few days in Glacier National Park, and then we went up through Calgary and Banff and Jasper National Park. So by the time we got to Alaska, I think we stayed there in Alaska for about 2 months, and then a couple of weeks to get back. So our total trip was about 3 months, with about 2 months being in Alaska. And while in
That's awesome.
Alaska, we just about everywhere besides going, north up to Prudhoe Bay and on the Dalton Highway or whatever, but everywhere else, we pretty much, spent a few days, in Fairbanks and Denali and Sedaltna and Homer. And we loved Seward. And my favorite place was Valdez. And we did, we didn't pull any punches when it came to excursions. I mean, we got on seaplanes and went fishing, and we did several, the quote unquote whale watching tours or the sea life tours. So we went to have a big time, and we had a big time.
Yeah, I mean, I if you're going to make that kind of trip commitment and time commitment, you got to do it, got to enjoy it, and get those experiences. That's awesome.
Well, my only problem with all that is the planning.
Yeah,
Well, I have a hard time planning.
yeah.
We have a fix for that, don't we?
We don't plan. We knew.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah, we don't plan. We in this whole trip, we had one reservation planned, and that was at Glacier National Park, just because we knew, with national parks and how, they become so popular since COVID times. So we first made a reservation at Glacier, but everything else, we just swinged it. And if we knew that we were going to be in an area, I would say, okay, well, let's find some campgrounds and let's just make some phone calls. And if that didn't work out, actually, it pretty much did work out most of the times. 4th of July was a hard time with trying to find reservations. But other than that, it was a day of. Many times it was the day of on travel.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's good. Now, I could do that then.
We found our equal, Gina. We found people that like to travel like us.
Yay.
Well, the funny part is when you live this lifestyle, you have the freedom to wing it.
Right.
I mean, it allows you that time to wing it, and you don't necessarily, if you're, as long as you're comfortable with it.
Right.
And I've always said that, when you tell your friends, and I think you guys could probably understand, when you tell your friends, I'm going to go full-time RVing and live a nomadic lifestyle, there's two groups, at least we've found. Half of your friends are going to tell you you're crazy, and the other half are going to tell you, that's my dream. And that's what we found out. And for us, and I tell people all the time, this lifestyle may not be for everybody, but for us, it is, and it has been, and we have absolutely loved it. And like I said, having your home on wheels allows you the freedom in a lot of respects to wing it. And if you're a person that needs to plan, we'll plan then. If you don't, then you don't have to.
Yeah, that's well said. I mean, you're right that we've not really found any in between opinions like you. It's either people are like, man, y'all are crazy.
That's
There's,
right.
I can't believe you're doing that, or it's, I'm so jealous. There's no in between. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I got a question, and anytime I hear people talk about going to Alaska, I have this thought, and I've seen pictures, I've seen all kinds of different, conditions that people's rigs are in and all that kind of stuff. And so my question to you is, now that you went to Alaska towing the Lance, and now you own a beautiful 30-foot Airstream, and you've had it and traveled with it for a while, and you obviously know kind of how beautiful they are on the outside. Would you take your Airstream to Alaska on that same trip, or would you say, no way, I'm never taking this thing up there? What's your opinion on that?
Now, Amy and I have never talked about this. I would say yes. I don't know that Amy would say yes. What would you say?
I think I would say no, only because I would like to take something smaller this time. I know it sounds crazy, but I would just like to have maybe a Class B or a small van and just zip in and out of things a little bit easier. I think the Airstream would do fine.
Yeah.
You just have to go slow.
Yeah. Well, this is when people ask me, Chris, how the road, and it almost every time you talk to somebody and tell them you went to Alaska, that you went to Alaska, they say, well, I heard the roads are terrible. This is my answer. And I think it's a good answer. My answer is, The roads are not as good as you would want them to be, but they are not as bad as most people say they are. That's kind of where I'm at. I know that may be a little bit of a cop out, but again, anybody who's driven on I-95 in South Carolina will tell you, oh, the roads to Alaska
Well,
aren't that bad.
yes. I was going to say 95 or 10.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
it's like, daggone. Yeah.
So, in space, some spaces for, I mean, the Alaskan highway and that whole trip is, the reality is you're going to be on some stretches of perfect, beautiful, scenic highway. And in the middle of that, there's going to be a gravel road,
Right.
for a couple miles.
Right. Right.
Some places are going to be smooth as silk, and then you're going to get around Destruction Bay or wherever,
And it's
and you're going to have frost heaves and all kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
no one you can go fast, no one slow down, and you should be okay.
Right.
That's cool. I've kind of gotten better over the past several years, but the first,
You have?
I think that I have, but the first 2 or 3 years we had our Airstream, I was meticulous. I
Oh my
wanted it to be perfect. I wanted it to be, spotlessly clean
Constantly.
constantly. And, to the point that if we had like a several 100-mile travel day, and then we were going to go check into an RV park and stay for a week somewhere, and the trailer was dirty on the drive, I would go find a do-it-yourself car wash, and I would wash it before we would get to the RV park, because I would want it to be clean on the campsite.
I kept telling Chris, I said, the aluminum is only so thick,
Yeah.
and if you keep on, you're going to be into the inner walls.
Yeah, and so like that, but I feel like I have gotten better about that the past several years. So I'm going to pat myself on the back, whether Gina believes me or not. But
No, you have gotten better about that, but I don't know where you're going with this, but I do not want to take my Airstream to Alaska for any reason.
No, and that's why I'm saying that, is that, I've seen pictures of them just trashed and just, so nasty, and
mine's not about that. Mine, I have to agree with Amy on this, because we've talked about this before too. We pull our Airstream with a truck, and it has a truck cap on it, but that thing can come off, and we can put a truck camper on it. And that's what I wouldn't mind taking, for the ease of zipping around, getting up there quicker, just the ease of all that. Yeah.
Yeah, because we have heard people say that a smaller, more agile rig is more convenient when you go to Alaska, because it's not like you're going to go to Alaska and sit still in one place the entire time you're up there. So you want something that can move around a little more efficient and stuff. But it's the roads, how trash they get on the travel and all that kind of stuff. That's what made me wonder what your thought was. Sounds like you guys aren't as OCD quite as bad as I am as far as keeping the rig clean. And
well, they might be OCD about keeping their rig clean. That has nothing to do with the
well, okay. Well, maybe I shouldn't have phrased it that way. I guess.
You're a dirty boy, Bruce.
Don't say it that way, Gina. No, it's not. That's taking it out of context. I'm just talking about the Airstream right now.
Oh, Chris.
Okay,
you have some OCD tendencies with the Airstream. You do
a few, but yes. I'm working through it. Okay, so we'll
get you some therapy.
Let's pivot from Alaska and ask this. So you came back from that trip. Obviously, you switched to the Airstream brand, and you've enjoyed it for over a year now, and just loving the lifestyle. So, what is your so far in the Airstream? What's been your most epic favorite trip you've taken?
Well, we did a nice trip. This wasn't my favorite, because I think frankly our favorite trip in the Airstream, we just got back.
I was just going to say that. Yes.
Just this past couple months, we just got back a couple weeks ago. We did a trip up to Michigan, and we went into the Upper Peninsula, and then we went down into Door County, Wisconsin. For us, I think we just got back from it.
Right.
That's a beautiful area.
Beautiful.
And, the weather was just phenomenal. And obviously, at that time of year, we got to go to Pictured Rocks National Park. And, we
Sand Bear Dunes.
Sleeping Bear
Dunes. I knew it's a bear.
There was a lot of sand though.
There was a lot of sand.
But we had Sleeping Bear Dunes, and we were up there for I guess a little bit over a month.
Mm-hmm.
But we really had a great time up there this summer.
Yeah, we went up that way in 2020 and went up to the UP and stuff, and just we're kind of trying to stay away from all the crowds and everything because of the time of going on in 2020 of that summer. But we had never been up there before, and it was in the summer. It was
July 20th or something.
Yeah, and we loved it. I mean, that was we found a dry camping spot near a little small lake up there somewhere in the.
It was in Adams Township.
Yeah, and it was chilly at night.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was beautiful.
Yeah,
that's cool. Well, that's good to hear. I mean, because it doesn't always have to be like
Lake Peralt. Isn't that it? Lake Peralt.
Was that where we were?
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't always have to be like the Grand Canyon or the Utah 5 national parks or any kind of things like that. You can enjoy those kind of things in all kinds of places in the U.S. So that's great.
Mm-hmm.
So you Bruce, you're former Marine, so you obviously have no fear of anything and stuff. But like,
no,
how did you feel crossing it? Oh, you fear Amy? Well, that makes perfect sense.
That's perfect. I like that.
How'd you feel crossing that bridge going into the UP?
I felt like a counselor.
And I'm the counselor.
Because I'm like, honey, it's going to be okay, honey. I look over. To be quite frank with you, Amy was crying as we crossed that bridge.
And to be fair, I have to say why I was crying going across this bridge. When we were coming back from Alaska, we were driving through Colorado, and they were doing road construction, and they had built a makeshift bridge over a gorge. And it was simply, to me, a piece of steel that was thrown between one side of the mountain and the other side of the mountain with mesh walls. And it was only as wide as our camper. There was there was not much room on either side. One car could only go over at a time. And we watched a semi-truck go over ahead of us, and it scared the life out of me. And then we had to cross. And ever since that moment.
It's not like they were remodeling a current bridge.
No.
They just built something temporary.
It was
while
sketchy.
they were.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was sketchy.
And I have never been right since then. And so the Mackinac Bridge, although it was iconic and you see all these fantastic pictures of it, I closed my eyes and prayed the entire time while tears were streaming down my face.
Well, I'm not far behind you on that. I don't have a fear of heights or anything, but there's just.
What now?
I don't have a fear of heights.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do. I won't tell people what happens to you whenever you're up in the air looking down.
We've crossed some pretty crazy bridges and stuff, and I've had a couple, incidences of mild panic attacks or like just, not.
Oh, I got one on video that's really, really good.
Yeah. So anyway, when we crossed that bridge, I was not too happy about it either, but we did it and we survived.
And the wind wasn't too bad. So that was nice.
Yeah. So I'm with you, Amy. I wasn't happy, but we did it.
Well, I will just say I was not scared going over the bridge at all, but I did have two hands on the steering wheel.
Yes.
Just to be on the safe side.
Yeah. No, that's probably a smart play. And we you're driving up to this thing and there, all these signs talking about wind and, this and that. And you get closer and closer and the signs get bigger and more serious. And it's like, you're getting ready to cross something whenever you get up there to it for sure.
For sure.
But Gina's smirking at me like, I can't believe you're telling that. But I'm just being honest. It was something. I was, we had a few other folks talk to us about it before we crossed it, a few days prior, we were talking to some people and they're like, oh yeah, it's no big deal. You'll be fine, but some of the other ones I've crossed that things were going under the bridge at the same time I was crossing over it. And I'm thinking to myself, they're going to hit the pylon and the bridge is going to fall and blah blah blah.
Mhm.
It's just like this.
Yeah, that's the one I have on video.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's a long way.
And on the video, you can hear me laughing at him the whole time.
Yeah, she's picking on me. I'm having a flip out and she's picking on me.
It's like the reverse here.
Oh,
Well, I can, if you'd like, tell you something that did scare me.
Oh,
Oh yeah, that'd
yeah,
be great.
that'd be great.
If you're comfortable sharing, go ahead.
oh, jeez.
So
It'll make me feel better about myself, Bruce, if you do that. So yeah.
I'm glad we lived to tell the story. Let's just put it that way.
it did not.
Okay.
It did not make me feel better about myself. So when we first got our first, what I finger quotes, our first big trip with the Airstream was about a month after we got it. We left and
Went up to Maine.
we went up to Maine. We went through Ohio and Pennsylvania, New York, and we stayed in Vermont and New Hampshire. We said, hey, let's take a trip up to the top of Mount Washington. And
In October.
So to make a long story short, we go to Mount Washington. We obviously we're not going to tow our camper up there, so we unhitched the Airstream, and there was this lot or whatever, and I locked it up, make sure if everything was secure. And we go to the gate, and I don't remember what the fee is, like $40 or something to drive up to the top of Mount Washington. And I have to tell you something. It was a clear, sunshiny day.
Mm-hmm. It was crisp. It was nice.
So as we start driving, you go into these different ecosystems as you're heading up the mountain. And Mount Washington, I think, is the highest point in the Northeast, the highest peak in the Northeast. So as we start getting higher towards the top of the mountain, the weather starts getting increasingly bad. And
quickly,
it seemed like the road at the same time was getting more and more narrow. And I don't know if that's true or not, but it may just be my, post-traumatic stress from this incident. But we, as we started we ended up getting into the clouds, and I guess a storm was coming. So by the time we get to the very summit, there were 94-mile-an-hour winds. The road was very narrow.
You couldn't see the road.
We literally could maybe see, and I'm not exaggerating, maybe 5 feet in front of the front bumper.
And you can't turn around because you can't see anything
and the road was so out. We lived in Okinawa for a few years, and I equated the road at the top of Mount Washington about the same as the roads in Okinawa, where you can get two cars past each other, go in the opposite directions, but it's not easy. And that's the way it felt. So by the time we got to the top of the mountain, I think I probably, had 4 heart attacks. And
wow.
And
didn't get out.
We get to that. So we didn't even bother getting out of the car. I was like, let's just get back down to the bottom. And, we finally had a place to turn around and never come back here again. At least not in a car without I'm driving.
On the other side of Mount Washington, you could take the cog up. You could park your car and take the cog up, and that was our original intention. We were going to just boondock there that night, but it was so incredibly unlevel. There was no way for us to even level the camper. So we said, let's just drive around, which is what we did. But I say that to say this: the cog didn't even go up to the top of Mount Washington at this time because the season had changed. It only went up so far. And we said, well, while we're here, let's just go all the way to the top. So we drove around to drive to the top, and we got back down. And
so when we get back down, I rolled my window down. The guy that took our money to go up there hands me this bumper sticker. And I said to him, why would you ever let anybody do that? He goes, oh, we closed it down right after you guys went.
You were the last car we let through.
Oh, wow.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
I was gonna ask that, like, why would they even let anybody up if they knew those were the conditions? And
yeah, but I think Mount Washington, if I'm not mistaken, is notorious for that kind of weather, like sporadic weather.
Yeah, it's sporadic, all right.
It was.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well.
And so did you were the roads themselves treacherous, or was it just the weather Like, was the road still drivable okay, and you felt good there,
I think
or was the road?
well, it's it's a catch-22 because I don't know.
Couldn't see the road.
We couldn't see anything, so maybe
Wow.
that saved us some stress. If because we couldn't see.
It didn't feel, awful.
Somehow I think I'd be highly stressed if I couldn't see the road on the side of a mountain.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
wow.
yeah. I
Well,
was.
my only caveat to that, Gina, would be if we could see down the mountain, would that have been stressful?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So needless to say, no selfie at the top of Mount Charleston.
No selfie
Yeah.
this time. I say this time like there's going to be a next time. There probably will never be a next time. But I did buy a T-shirt.
Wow.
I said I have to do something. I typically don't buy T-shirts when to go places, just because living in the rig, we don't have room for those things. But I did buy one
Yep.
at that place, at the gift shop.
Mhm. What did the bumper sticker say?
I survived Mount Washington.
I mean,
Something along those lines.
it's like the typical.
Yeah.
This car went up Mount Washington, or
I don't know.
it's
Yeah.
something about this car traveled
Yeah,
up to the top, went to the top of Mount Washington, or something. I forget. I threw it away.
It's almost like they did it on purpose, like they're trying to test people or something.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
Like the-
probably. I'm telling you.
Wow.
I really did have a thought that, like, why would they let people do this? Like, normal, because
Mhm.
I feel like pretty confident and like a sound decision making guy.
But halfway up, we
Yeah.
were,
I would definitely not want my kids to go up there.
no.
Maybe it was maybe they were due for monthly or quarterly like mountain rescue training, and they sent you up there knowing
No,
that they
here
were
we
going to have
go.
to come up and get you.
That's kind of morbid.
The willing victim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they paid to do it as well.
They paid us.
We paid to do it.
So have you guys been to the top of Mount Mitchell there and here in North Carolina?
No, we haven't been to top of Mount Mitchell.
Yeah.
We have been to Clingman's Dome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Mount Mitchell, it's not as, I'm sure it could be, but like we've been to it a few times where down at the base or, even down on the Blue Ridge Parkway, it is gorgeous weather, crystal clear, sunny, blue skies. And then you go that extra couple thousand feet up and you get to the top and it's fogged out, the wind's blowing, it's 30 degrees cooler. And so you think, oh, I'm going to have a trip, beautiful afternoon to go see the view at Mount Mitchell. And you get up there and it's totally different. So
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Well, we love, the Smoky Mountains is just absolutely one of our favorite places that we go, and we like to get there a couple times a year.
Where are you guys originally from?
I grew up in New Jersey, and then I moved to Florida right before I went into high school. My dad retired, and I moved to Florida, and that's where I met this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I grew up I was born in Miami, grew up in South Florida, and we moved to Central Florida, Kissimmee, and
Yeah.
Amy and I met the first day of our junior year of high
right.
school, and
Wow.
she thought I was a jerk,
I did.
and
How do you feel about that now, Amy?
Well, ask me on a different day. No, it's wonderful now.
But yeah, so I always tell about everybody we've been together since the '80s.
Yep.
And we're proud of that, actually.
Yeah, that's cool.
No,
Yeah.
you should be.
Yeah. So you're I asked that question because you're kind of like us, from the eastern half of the US. When you get out and you travel, especially in the West or other parts of the North America where you can get into some bigger mountain ranges, you can tell the difference between,
Absolutely.
the Blue Ridge or the Smoky Mountains and
Well, that's
West.
because they're already at 8,000, something like that, but at their base.
Yeah, out there.
Whereas our highest peak is what, 6,600 or something here.
Yeah,
So,
something. So
yeah.
it's definitely a different feel. Yeah. Well, Gina and I've been together about as long as you guys I have. We got together in '90. So
Mhm.
yeah, she can't get rid of me. She tries, but she can't get rid of me.
Don't try.
Yeah, cool. Well, we're excited that you're on the podcast and telling these fun stories. I guess we talked about some fun stuff, and obviously the Mount Charleston thing's crazy. But like, so have you got any like Oh man, I screwed up. I shouldn't have done that kind of stories.
Yes. Can I tell this one? Well,
yeah, it was your
this is
screw.
my screw up. So we were coming back. We spent February down in the Keys, right? Is this the Key trip coming back from the Keys?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
And we had stopped at Bruce's cousin's house and spent a couple days there with them.
We watched the Super
We
Bowl.
watched the Super Bowl, and we were dry camping, in their mood stocking, and we wanted to go to a Dick's Sporting Goods because they sold Dolphins gear versus a huge Dolphins fan. So we went there, and it was about an hour and a half drive, I guess, hour drive. And we pulled into the parking lot. We found, a place to go, and we walk outside. Bruce goes, oh, no, we walked into the store, and we came back out, and he's like, what is all that water behind our rig? I'm like, I don't know. And I walked into the rig, and there was water in the rig. I did not turn the water pump off before we set sail. And the tiniest thing fell onto, I say tiny, but it had some weight to it. And it just pushed the lever down on the toilet, the flush, and just enough to let the water go and go and go and go. And we emptied our entire water tank
into the rig.
Yes. So
wow.
That was pretty stressful.
So we had a full tank.
And we had a full tank. Our carpets,
38 gallons.
Yeah, we had the runners, and they were just soaking wet. You pick it up, and it was just sloshing. I pulled everything out under the beds, drying.
I will say, let me say this though. The front of our rig rode a little bit high, and we just got a lift kit put on this.
Yeah.
Ronnie at Airstream Nuts and Bolts just gave us a lift, but before that happened, when we were riding, the front of the rig rode a little bit higher than the back. So and I say that because it saved us a little bit, because all that water didn't run into the front of the rig. It just rolled back to the bedroom, and it allowed it to drain out. So I think that could have been much worse if it hadn't been.
Sure.
So although it was not great, sometimes that stuff happens.
And I will still forget to turn it off, and we'll be driving, and I'm like, oh, I didn't turn the water pump off, pull over.
All said and done, there was water in the rig. It drained out. We took everything out, dried it all off.
It fans go.
The flooring, not only the floor covering, but also, the marine grade flooring that they put in the Airstreams. It ended up really not being a problem. It was just an inconvenience at the end of the day.
I mean, it's crazy, ironic how something like that would happen, but
well, I'm still visualizing this because you said you were in the Dick's parking lot, correct?
Yes.
So did you pull everything out there in the Dick's parking lot?
Pretty much. Yes, we did. We got garbage bags, and we were putting wet stuff into garbage bags, had everything pulled out. I'm sure it was a scene to be had. Yes.
So how many people bought chairs at Dick's and came out and sit and watch?
Maybe from afar. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Were y'all serving drinks and cheese platters and stuff while you were?
I could have. I had all of that, but goodness.
I can't remember talking to each other.
I don't either. I think it was just.
Oh, I'm sure.
Well, we've had stories. People have shared stories, obviously, about like making the mistake and overflowing their black tank when they're flushing it, and little things like that, and obviously water leaks from other types of plumbing issues. But that does really take just the wrong place at the wrong time kind of freak scenario for that to happen. I mean, granted, having your water pump on going down the road is the culprit, but like just the odds of something hitting that
exactly
and causing
and
it,
holding it down.
I mean, I don't know if you guys have done this, but I have. Gina drove, and I got in the Airstream for a little bit and rode just so that I could see what was going on in the trailer. And it's obviously not a safe thing to do. Nobody should do it. We're not condoning it. That's all my.
Yes, and you just put that out on the podcast.
Well, but nobody
do as I say, not as we do.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. But anyway, my point is like we all know it's an earthquake rolling
It
down the
is.
road. So
Mhm.
anything like that can happen. But I hate to hear that it did. And fortunately, didn't sound like it was, catastrophic, which is good. But
Right.
Gina and and Gina's really good about this is it doesn't matter whether we stop for gas and just go to the bathroom real quick, or if it's, whatever. um, she turns off the water pump and then she goes and flushes the toilet and lets all the water drain out of the toilet so that there's none in the bowl to kind of move around as we're driving down the road. So
Mhm.
that's kind of our last uh, thing to do before we shut the door and lock it and go out, is to flip that switch off and then flush out the remaining water in the
Mhm.
bowl, and
Mhm.
um, cut cut down the chance of something like that happening. And yeah, so yeah, I mean that's that was a
That's a
uh,
biggie.
not a good thing, but it could have been way worse. That's for sure.
One of the things is we have toys, and these are expensive toys, so you want to take care of them.
Yep.
And for us, it's our home, so we want to take care of it.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing I think is just take your time, and stuff's going to happen. Understand it.
Yeah.
Just you could control what you can control.
Yeah.
And just take your time. And I think, for the most part, you'll be okay.
Yeah, no, that's good advice. And we were just at a rally last weekend, and there was a guy doing a little seminar on like some, I think it was called surviving your first year of Airstreaming kind of stuff. And he had some pointers and some advice for people. And one of the things he was talking about was how, his camping trip starts when they prepare to go camping, like when they're loading the trailer, when they're getting ready to hitch up, when they're, doing all the stuff to get ready to leave to go on a trip. That's when his camping trip starts, not when he gets there and he's set up and unhitched and he's kicked back in the camp chair. That's not when it starts. And so there was a comment made about how, all of those things you do to get prepped and get ready to go, and the travel along the way and all that is, you're camping when you're doing all that. And to your point about going slow and all that kind of stuff is, and that these are expensive toys, is all of those things that you do, you're playing with your toys.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, this is not my toy.
What I'm getting at is like, it's, when you're leveling and when you're backing up and when you're, getting positioned and you're doing all of the stuff, it's like you're playing with your toys. Your big, no, not your adult toys, but like your
Okay.
There you guys go again.
You need to just slow
Okay.
down.
Well, it's
slow down.
It's just an analogy.
Your face is blood red right now.
No,
just
it's all right.
take a deep breath.
I like having fun. I mean, I think it's
I know
fun
you
to
do.
do that kind of stuff. Doing challenging,
You're not helping your case at all here.
challenging back ends, having
Chris,
to
just
having to
stop.
figure out the leveling just right, all those kind of things. I think that's part of the fun. All right, I'll stop. I'll
Okay.
stop.
I know Bruce and Amy are holding their breath. They're like, "Oh, where is he going with this?"
No, okay. Well, I thought it made sense.
Oh, did I tell you we went to the Billy Graham Library a couple weeks ago?
That's a crazy segue.
Yeah. Well, but that does bring me to something. So, you've been to the UP, you've been to Alaska. I don't really know what location you're in right now, but so what's your plans for the remainder of the year? You got anything fun going on?
We do.
Yep.
We're leaving next week, and we're actually in Savannah, Georgia now. But we're leaving next week, and we are headed to the International Rally.
Yep.
In Missouri. And
cool.
Yep. So we're going to do that, and we have go see a buddy of ours
In Iowa.
And then I think
No, they were heading to Alabama. We're getting some work done on the rig, some upgrades.
we're going to get some more upgrades done. Like I said, Ronnie at Airstream Nuts and Bolts did the lift for us, and we got a clear window in our door, and we got new skylights. A few weeks ago.
the entry door, you took the opaque one out and
Yes,
put a
that
clear
was
one.
so much
Now,
better.
we love it a lot.
So much
Yeah.
better.
So we've got that
That's
work
cool.
done, and then we're headed back after the rally in Missouri. We are going back to him because we're gonna get some solar work done, and we're getting an onboard generator.
We want to be able to just be totally off grid
We're trying to be as off grid as we can.
if we need it
Yeah,
to.
nice.
And so we're getting that work done, and then I think we've got a couple rallies. We have a big
Local rallies.
we got couple local rallies. We've got we're looking forward to our December rally. That's going to be in Myrtle Beach, and then other than that, we're going to chase our grandkids.
Yep.
And spend some time with family, especially through the holidays, and then that should get us through the holidays, and then we're going to head back down to the Keys. That's our
For the
plan.
month of January, we're
The
going to
month of
start the
January.
year off down the Keys.
Oh,
That'll
yeah.
be nice. Now, you did have to plan for that.
Well, not really. Well, kind of. We stay in the Navy base with Bruce being prior
Oh.
military.
Our military, we're able to
Oh,
stay
yeah.
on the
So we're dry camping. We're just dry camping. I say just. I don't care. We're in the Keys. You know, it's
Yeah,
Sure.
exactly.
which is again another reason why we decided to go with upgrade what solar
Yeah.
that we have and get the onboard generator, because that's going to free us up a lot more when we're down in the Keys.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, have a safe trip out there to International in Missouri. That'll be an awesome time. And
International is huge.
yeah,
Yes.
that's awesome. Your lift kit on your 30-foot, we're toying around with doing a lift kit on ours too. And did you upgrade tire and wheel size too, or did you just do the lift?
We have not done it yet, but yes, we are going to. We just haven't had the chance yet. We're going to go to 16-inch wheel,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
I'm basically going to do what Ronnie recommended.
Yeah. Well, that's why I was asking, was because the combination of the kit plus bigger wheels and tires, gives you even more lift. And I wanted to and we'll talk about it after you get all that done, but like what your thoughts are on that additional height. When you need that additional height, obviously it's great, but when you don't necessarily need that additional height, like what your thoughts are on, I've got these extra few inches and now I got to put more leveling blocks under my stabilizing jacks, or,
Yeah.
Steps are taller off the ground, those kind of things. I've not heard negative feedback about that, but it's just like hearing what people think after the fact.
Mhm.
Well,
Is always good.
I'll say this, we haven't scraped since we got the lift,
Yes.
and we did
Yeah.
scrape a couple times, and the various places you go, whether it's into a fuel station or whatever, where you
Campground.
or a campground or whatever, where there's that little dip that you
Yep.
clench your teeth and go that type of thing.
Uh-huh.
So we haven't had any of that, so it's already been a win. So
Yeah, that's good. Well, we've experienced that, and our objective obviously to get one would be to be a little more comfortable getting out into some off-grid
Right.
camping out west and
Mhm.
BLM land and things like that, and making sure we don't get in trouble for
Right.
stuff like that.
right, and
Us too.
yeah, and that's our goal with doing all the stuff that because we haven't gone with the Airstream out west yet,
That's going to be next year.
and that's going to be next year. So that was our goal, to get all this stuff done, so that when we get out there, we can assuage any anxiety for doing that type of stuff.
For
Well,
sure.
we really haven't had any trouble. We stay out west a lot and boondock out in the desert and stuff, and we really hadn't had any trouble. But now we're only going 2 or 3 miles off the main road, where we could go probably further if we had the lift kit. But we hadn't had any
That's good.
trouble that I can
Well,
recall.
we haven't had trouble. We just wanted to go places we
You
couldn't,
couldn't go.
Yeah,
and that
because of little dips or
yeah,
something, and
yeah,
yeah.
and that's kind of the.
And we
But
got a drone for that. We got a little tiny drone so we could fly it ahead of us and see what was out there. And and one time it was very deceiving. Everything looked smooth and clear that we could go, and we got to a certain point and there was just enough of a dip that we would have bellied out, and
yeah.
so we had to stop and back up and get turned around. But
And my mistake on the mistake I made on that scenario was I made a judgment call too quickly with the drone. Like I should have spent a little bit more time, like an
Yeah.
extra couple minutes, flying around and looking rather
Maybe a
than
little lower.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I just kind of zipped it out there, looked around, and said, "Oh yeah, this will be a piece of cake." And I brought it back, and we committed. And I should have spent a few
And
more minutes.
where we were headed was fine. It was
Yeah,
just the road getting there. We overlooked the dip.
Yep. And so, but any of those kind of things, and that would have been one of those scenarios where that extra 3 to possibly 4 inches would have made the difference between getting through or not getting through.
Right.
So those are the kind of things why I think you're wise in having gotten the lift kit, and we feel pretty sure we're going to do it too. We just haven't yet.
Well, I learned something about using my drone because I just got a new drone, and I was like, and I thought about using it for that. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, it works, because there's a lot of places out there where, it's not just flat open land where you can see for distance, but there's established roads to get you back into some camping spots, and you just got to kind of lay eyes on it. Some people will just park and walk or pull their e-bike off and zip down the road or whatever. But like in certain places, you can just pop that drone up and go take a look and poke around. And the big one, one of the biggest things obviously is making sure you got a spot where you can turn around or back in. Yeah. So that's a big use for them, is to make sure you've got places to turn around. And yeah, it works out good. We've used it a good number of times for that. And it comes in handy. So, all right, you guys. Well, we've been chatting it up now almost an hour, and we can't thank you enough for reaching out and saying, "Hey, we'd be interested in coming on the podcast," because that's what we are doing this for.
I was just excited to know that we had a listener.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I was beginning to work.
And, so
out there.
have you? Yeah,
Yay.
that's right. Have you got cool social media stuff happening with your travels and everything you want to share with everybody?
We do a little bit. I think probably our best one that I like to do, just because it's quick and easy, and I don't have to spend as much time. Our Instagram channel is How Blessed RV. Just
cool.
Spell it like it sounds.
Because we always say how blessed we are to be able to do this.
Because so many times, Amy and I have been, riding down the road, and we're on our way to somewhere, or we just got back from one somewhere, and we just look at each other, and we just can't believe how blessed we are to be able to do this. But it just seems fitting to call it that.
Cool. All right. Well,
we can't thank you guys enough to coming on and sharing your story with us and with the listeners out there. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Hope you had fun, and we can't wait to see you down the road at some of these rallies, and we'll
see you in about a month or so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll see you soon.
We're looking forward to
have fun at International.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You bet. All right. Well, talk soon.
All right. Take care.
Take care. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you down the road.
All right. Bye-bye.
That was another fun conversation with people that, enjoy Airstreaming.
Oh, I'm glad to see that they're out traveling as much as they are too. That's nice.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we're having fun with this. I'm having fun with this. I hope everybody listening is enjoying it. We got more episodes to come, obviously, and the invitation is always open for anybody that wants to pop on with us and have a fun chat.
Let us know. Come see us, or
sure.
come on and chat with us, because we like to hear your story as well.
Yep. Well, everybody, we will see you on the next episode, and
we'll see you down the road.